Good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join our webinar for today. Let's get started. So this month we're going to be kind of talking about we've got two different series from our Platinum line. They came out recently, so it's still a pretty new product, but I'd like to do an introduction to kind of tell you all about it. And so this is our Platinum line. The Platinum line, we've got uh, pretty much two models, two series. It's going to be the WE and the WI series cameras. And so what that really means is WE is going to be our dual light cameras. The WI is going to be our color 24/7, but it does have the capability of doing both IR and color. And so, yeah, let me start and we will go and talk about what all this means. All right, so the Platinum WE and WI series cameras. So these are pretty much the next evolution for our cameras. And these cameras, they do incorporate the latest security technology. So you've got a lot of these special AIs. So it's not just like kind of like the old school cameras that we have where it's just the standard motion detection. Those motion detections obviously aren't that great because it just goes off pixel changes. Then we also had the VCAs, which we still have those on our cameras, like the line crossing. We've got our intrusion detections. Those are the most popular ones. There are also a couple more that are on our cameras. And so the latest technology will have built-in AI, which is next step with the human and vehicle filtering. So on these two series of cameras, they do have dual lighting. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but these will have both IR and the visible light. Visible light meaning that white light that is being kind of shot out from the camera itself, kind of works like a floodlight. Also, these will also have three illumination modes, which I will talk about that shortly. So let's talk about what is this hybrid illumination or this dual light. So there is a feature on the camera itself. Since these do have your two illuminations, they have a feature called hybrid illumination. And what that means is that it is able to, well, when you're in that mode, it is going to be starting off in your IR mode. So if you're looking at this first picture right here, that is going to be the mode that clicks on. So when the photo sensor on the camera detects that, okay, this is a little bit too dark, I'm not able to see very well, it will first click on the IR mode, which is going to give you that black and white image. And so if there is no target, so you do need to set this up with some type of detection, either your motion detection or some type of VCA. So if there is no motion or any vehicle or human or anything walking into that area, it will stay in your IR mode. So the change comes when we have a object that is walking into this field of view, and that is what's happening with the smart mode itself. When it detects the person, it will turn on the white light. So that white light serves a couple different purposes. One purpose is to light up the area so it's actually able to see better, and that means it's going to be in color. Second thing is it just lets the person or the vehicle know that, hey, we see you. It's more of like a deterrence type of feature. And so, yes, so it's going from the IR mode into the color mode. And so once that the object or person is gone, then it is going to switch back to your IR mode, which is meaning is going to go back into your black and white mode. So this, a lot of people will have the question being that, okay, so we've seen on our previous versions of our camera, whenever it switches from your IR to your color mode, or whenever, like, let's say you have a camera that is in IR mode, then you have a bright light which kind of will blind the camera. Does that happen with our cameras here? And the answer is no, it actually does not. There's minimal flare up. We actually have a video clip that's coming up that will show it in progress. And so, yeah, the changeover is also really quick. It's less than half a second and it's going into that mode and it's able to see very clearly. And so let's talk about the first line for these types of cameras. That line is going to be the WE series cameras. And so the Platinum WE series, so these are going to be called our dual light models. They are pretty much next generation for a value series. So if you've kind of looked at the more budget friendly series that we have, sort of like our 1042s or 1382s, you'll be quite familiar with those. And this kind of adds on to that. And so what this provides is it does have your automatic switching to capture your color footage for your human vehicle related events, which is that the hybrid illumination mode. So these do have your onboard IR and your visible white light. So it's able to switch between those two. They do have your built-in microphone, and for the AI side, we do have the addition of your MD 2.0 or your motion detection 2.0 to filter out your false alarms. So these right here are going to be the new models that are from this WE series. And so you'll notice that we do have one 8 megapixel camera, and then we have a group of 4 megapixels in different form factors. And so, yeah, you'll notice right here that we do in the cameras, they do have multiple lights. On these, you'll see that this has two lights. So one of them is going to be your white light. The other one is going to be your IR. So that's kind of the cool part on this. That makes it more flexible. You kind of use these in whatever type of environments. Next is going to be our Platinum. This is going to be the WI series. And so the WI series, we're calling these the hybrid illuminations because keep that in mind that this hybrid illumination is going to be different than the hybrid illumination mode. The hybrid illumination mode is completely different than what we're calling this. I will kind of reiterate about that in a little bit. But it's the latest iteration of our 24/7 cameras. So if you're familiar with our 24/7 cameras that will have like a number and then the C, those will have a larger sensor and it's going to have a better f-stop rating. So that lets you be able to absorb more light, get you that nice color image at night without having a lot of lighting that's kind of like a floodlight or anything that's in the area. You won't need that, so you'll still be able to see in color very well. Do note that if you are using these types of cameras, if the area is pitch black, you will need some type of supplemental lighting. It doesn't need a lot, so you can either go by, me personally, I've got some like solar lights in my garden, and I get a very good color image. If you don't have those available, then you are able to use the white light that's built into the camera itself. So features on the WI series. So you've got the IR to visible light, white light switching, and that helps you capture your color footage for your human and vehicle related events. And so this will provide your round the clock most vivid color imaging for the low light due to that larger sensor that's in the camera itself. So these do have the features such as our MD 2.0, which is our motion detection 2.0, that pretty much lets you do your human vehicle filtering. They will have the VCAs, like your line crossing or your intrusion. These the difference is going to be that we also have your face detection, and then there are a few other types of detections that are on the camera itself. So ambient lighting in most scenarios. So if you do have your ambient lighting, then yes, you don't need to really turn on the white light on the camera to see in color. But yeah, you will need some type of supplemental lighting to see in your complete darkness times. The difference between these, besides the sensor from the WI to the WE, is that these have a different type of LED. These are actually dual mode LEDs. So the LED itself, that one single LED, is able to do both IR and white light. Unlike the WE series, where you have a LED for each one. So one LED is going to be for your IR, the second LED is going to be for your white light. These are dual modes, so they're actually one LED that's able to kind of switch between the two. And last but not least, these do have a built-in microphone. So you are able to hear what's going on where the cameras are located. So here are the cameras that are available for the WI series. You will notice that we do have the same two resolutions, which is your 8 megapixel and your 4 megapixel. And we do have the most common form factors that people love. So where do these cameras fall into our camera lineup? So you'll see right here, the beginning is going to be our value series. And so if you're looking at the model number, what do we mean by WI, WE? And you'll see the model number right here. It does say the WE. And then on this one, we do see the WIs listed here. So if we're looking at that from a model number standpoint, if you're kind of like, okay, which one's which, always look for the WE and WIs. And so we do see that, the feature-wise, what's going to be the difference is that primarily the WEs, since they don't have a sensor as our WIs, then those will primarily be in your IR mode. But if you do turn on that white light, yes, you can have that in color, but it's not going to be as great as if you were trying to do it from the WI series camera. So WI, they are made to be in 24/7 color. So if you were familiar with our 24/7 cameras before, these are going to be the ones that are going to be carrying over, that's going to be perfect for y'all to be using. And so the question is, why should we use the WE or WI series cameras when we still have our other cameras available that you've probably been using all along? And so the reason that I see is that you are able to use fewer cameras. And so that helps kind of to reduce time and efforts in helping the end user in selecting what type of camera that they're needing to use. Because one camera, they both have the IR and the visible white light. So they are able to be more flexible. You can put them in multiple areas, whatever types of conditions that are available for that certain area. This in turn requires less time, less manpower, and also planning. Because we all know that when we're going out to a job site, we're probably walking around, drawing everything, kind of mapping out what camera would go good at what location. Then, yes, this kind of takes away that planning because you just know that, okay, we can just use this one camera. It is able to do your white light or your IR without you needing to think about it. And also that after installing the fine tuning of this, installers can log in to the camera itself, either through the app or on the recorder, and set it to your IR or your color 24/7 mode. Second is going to be that these are more aesthetically pleasing in a way because since you are using the same cameras throughout the job site, then you're not going to be, oh, okay, these cameras are IR, they actually have a completely different look than our 24/7 color cameras. And so that gives you a more uniform look and a more professional look on that site. And so with this, you are also able to avoid using completely different styles of cameras for one project. Okay, so let's talk about the different lighting modes that are available for these cameras. So there are basically three different lighting modes. So remember I was talking about we do have the IR, we do have the color, and so that is going to be the two color modes. So we do have the standard color mode, which means that if you are in this mode, then it is going to be in color 24/7, as long as you do have enough lighting in the area. If you don't have enough lighting, you can turn on the white light that is on the camera itself. So you have the IR mode. IR mode means that it's areas that are going to be very low light, or you've got a lot of different lights in the area that may cause some interference. Then you can use the IR mode that gives you that black and white. And then you have your smart hybrid mode, which means that it is going to be an IR, which is black and white, until the motion triggers it. And that's when it switches to your color visible light. And then it will be in color from that time. And so if the motion stops, then it'll switch back to your color mode. But do note that, in order for you to be able to use the color mode without turning on the white light, you do need to have some type of lighting in the area. It could be minimal to get you that color image, but some lighting will be necessary. And so here's a short clip. This is actually from our YouTube channel that kind of displays what's going on forever that. I'll probably do a little voiceover and kind of explain what's going on while we're going through that.
Introducing LTS's new series of hybrid Illumination IP cameras that provide powerful and flexible video surveillance solutions, featuring multiple lighting modes adaptable to a wide spectrum of lighting conditions. The default is Color 24/7 mode, which captures full-color footage at all hours, day and night. Users may also select Hybrid mode, which is best suited for light-sensitive indoor installations. In Hybrid mode, when cameras detect insufficient ambient light, they will use traditional black and white recording.
This right here is going to be that hybrid mode. So you'll see it starts off in your black and white. once you see a person come in, it turns into your white light. Did you see how the reaction time on the camera, there's no flare up on that white light, which is blinding that camera.
Interface, reducing service costs. This series of cameras covers various applications, including business buildings, parking structures, and commercial outlets. To learn more, please contact your local LTS sales representative or visit our website at ltsecurityinc.com. Thank you for watching.
All right, so yeah, so you saw that in the beginning that it showed the two different modes that we most traditionally will see, which is the black and white mode, which is for the IR, and then we had the color mode. And then when it got to this section right here, let me kind of go back to that section. Yeah, when it got to the middle where it showed the picture of the person walking into the room, that was in black and white. And so you'll see that, it did switch over to your color mode. And if you notice the actual reaction time, we didn't have that flare up to where the camera was blinded for a few seconds when it was trying to adjust to the lighting. And so that's one of the main selling points of going with one of these cameras. All right, so let's talk about what recorders are going to be compatible. So these cameras, they are compatible with any of our LTS recorders, but if you're wanting to use, uh, go into the recorder itself and be able to switch between the different modes, then only certain cameras will have that support at the moment. Not cameras, but certain recorders will have that support. And so these are the ones that are currently supported. So if you're looking at the list here, we do have our new 89 series. Do note that if you're looking at the model numbers for that, they will be notated with the N at the end of the model number. So our previous models, which were the just a basic 89 without the N, they currently don't have that menu on the recorder. So if you're wanting to do it on those recorders that are not supported, then you would actually need to set that mode from the camera itself. It won't be able to be done from the recorder side. So we have also our 86 series in series. And so you'll see the notation with the in at the back of the model number here. We have our 87D, which is our new 87 series. And then we also have the 87K, which was a previous model, but we did have a firmware update, which gave it the ability to have those settings in the menus themselves. All right, let's talk about what these cameras are for. So these are for more light sensitive settings. So indoors where you can't really turn on a light, because if you're trying to use a 24/7 camera and you want to see in color at night, then once lights are turned off inside the building, you would need to have some type of lighting to be able to see in color. And so there are times where the actual white light shouldn't be turned on. So on these, you can actually turn on the IR mode, and then when somebody walks into the area, it will turn on the white light just so you can get the color image for those moments. So these are also for areas where light pollution is not really that great or frowned upon, like areas with certain HOAs, they don't want you to have lights on, or whatever. And also, camera locations where you want to be more low profile. These will also help because you don't have that white light kind of shining down. So these cameras will work for different applications. So retail, city streets, residential, warehouses, pretty much anything you can think of. These do have a place that you can use them for. So remember when I was talking about you can go into the recorder and change the modes themselves. So on those supported recorders that do have the settings available, then this is what we're going to be looking at. So the first one right here is going to be from the local monitor. So that's going to be the monitor that's connected to the recorder directly. And so we would go into the settings, and then once you're under camera display, you will notice, well, select the camera. And right here is what we're looking at, the supplement light mode. And so you have that drop down menu. You can kind of click down and you can choose where it says smart. Smart is going to be your hybrid illumination where it automatically switches to modes. You can also go into your IR mode and then your standard white color mode, and also off, which means that it's not going to do anything at all. If you were to log in through the web interface, you will notice the exact same thing. So under configuration, image, select your camera, And then you will notice the setting right here, which is your supplemental light mode. So if you were trying to do that from the cameras, yeah, the exact same thing. So configuration, image, and then so when you click on that, the drop-down menu, that gives you the options for the hybrid light, for the white light, just the black and white IR image, or just no lighting at all. We are also able to go into the phone app and make those changes. So load up the camera, click on the three dots, go under settings, and you will notice right here where it says your supplemental light. And then under supplemental light, you are able to choose the mode, which these modes are self-explanatory in here. So you have the full color mode, black and white, which is the IR mode, and then your hybrid mode, which is your smart light compensation. All right, so that's the end of my presentation here. Let's see if we have any questions. So we have a question, do these have sound? Yeah, these do have built-in mics. So a lot of our domes, the turrets, the bullets, they do have built-in microphones on them. How do NVRs work? Not sure what you're meaning by NVRs. Are you meaning the actual settings, which we kind of went over right here? So you'll see that, if we're trying to set those modes from the recorder itself, that is what's right here. Do note that this is only part of the equation. So this is just to set the lighting mode. If you're wanting to do the hybrid illumination, which is the one where it automatically switches from black and white to color and vice versa, you also need to go into your detection method and set that up. If you didn't set up a detection method, then it's not going to do that switching. Another question. How do you know if a security camera is recording audio? So by default, if you load up a camera, it should be plug and play. But if you go into the camera menu, which is right here under camera, you'll see cameras. Uh, Make sure that is set to video and audio. If you have that done, and if this camera does have a built-in mic or whatever, then yes, you will see a setting for video and audio. If you're wanting it to record the audio that it picks up, then there is going to be another step. You will need to go into your storage, which is your hard drive, and pull up the recording mode. The recording mode is just how are you wanting to record everything? Do you want to record 24-hour continuous? Do you want to record in motion or event? There's going to be a menu there, which is advanced. Click on advanced and you will see record audio. So as long as you have that checked, and remember to save it by clicking apply before you kind of go over to a different camera to change those other settings for the other cameras, then that will actually save and it will record the audio also along with the video in your playback. If you don't check that record audio, then you will only get sound during your live view. Another question. Can I connect my security camera to the phone without Wi-Fi? Well, these cameras, they don't have Wi-Fi built in, so you won't be able to connect it to the phone without Wi-Fi. Because at the end of the day, you are needing to either be able to access the local configuration, which is meaning that you have a mouse and monitor hooked up to your recorder, or you have the availability of a laptop that you kind of will be able to log in to the recorder itself to set it up. Do note that if you are plugging it in through the built-in PoE and this camera is brand new out of the box, it will most likely be able to plug and play. So the recorder is going to automatically set it up, give it an IP address, password. It takes the password of the recorder. And so it's able to add itself onto the recorder, and yeah, it will work after that. All right. Question, can security cameras be hacked? There have been instances where cameras were hacked, but usually that is just poor configuration, poor firmware. So if we ever receive any notifications that, hey, there is a security issue like that, we will issue a firmware update. And so with that firmware update, it usually will close any types of bugs or loopholes that were in the cameras. Another question, are these new cameras available now? Yes, these cameras have been available for, I would say it was available back for the past few months. So they are available. Uh, you should be able to go to your sales representative and ask them for these cameras. So once again, we have the WE, which is your dual light. And then we have the WI, which is going to be your your replacement for the 24/7 color cameras, but it does have the hybrid illumination mode. Any other questions? Yeah, at the end of the day, these are very handy because you just need one type of camera in your inventory in your stock, and you can kind of use that anywhere. It's kind of a no-brainer. You don't need to kind of go and decide, okay, when I was walking through this job site, did this area have any type of lighting to be able to see in color with the camera. So with this, you can just put a camera up anywhere. If at the end of the day there is not enough lighting or you can't see well enough in color, then yeah, you can switch it to the IR mode. Granted, there are ways for you to kind of improve the brightness of an image, kind of like playing with your exposure, which is your shutter speed. So lower the shutter speed gives you a brighter image. But the downside on that is that if you set the shutter speed too low, then whenever you have kind of faster moving motions, you may get some ghosting or skipping. You can also go and play with your gain control. If you set it up higher, then yes, you will get a brighter image. Downside on that one is that if you set it up too high, then you will get some kind of pixelation or some noise in the image. So yeah, these cameras, they are good cameras. And so once you try out the different modes on these, the way that they can do both IR and color, you'll see that they are kind of like a Swiss Army knife in cameras because they pretty much have every feature that you would need. All right, we do have another question. When you mention AI, can you expand on that? All right, yeah. So originally, our cameras they will only have your motion detection. Motion detection goes off of pixel changes. So if you draw the box around the area, an image is made up of pixels. Any one of those pixels changes colors, that sets it off. So it's not the most accurate thing ever. So you will get a lot of false alarms. You can minimize that by kind of playing with the sensitivity and the threshold, but it only goes so far. So after that, the next one was going to be the your VCAs. VCAs meaning your line crossing, which means that you are able to draw a line anywhere on the screen. You can set what direction the motion is going, so from one side to the other or just one direction. That eliminated a lot of the, I would say, the false alarms, or you can use your intrusion. And so after that, we had our um, more advanced AI, which is like your motion detection 2.0, which is going to be filtering for human or vehicles. And so it just goes off of shapes. So if you do set it up for, like, let's say in conjunction with your VCA or with your motion detection, it not only will have the benefits of that detection type, but it's also able to filter it a little bit further by going by the shape. But depth perception will cause some issues. So let's say a car located like really far away, it may not pick it up as a car because of the shape and how small it is. So, but yeah, every time we have a firmware, it kind of improves everything. Or we also have like different detections that come out that kind of improve it. So, yeah, those are the current types of AIs that are available on our products now. Okay, next question. What are the risks of security cameras? Currently, I haven't seen any issues with any of the cameras. I know a while back, there was that issue where, they weren't really hacking into the camera, but, there was some type of ports that were left open on the recorders itself. So if you were doing your port forwarding or anything like that, that you're opening ports on the router and people were getting into the recorders and leaving messages or stuff like that. So if you're wanting to play it safe, either go with the cloud method or use a VPN on when you're trying to do remote access on these security systems. Another question, how far back will it record? Well, on that will actually depend on your hard drive itself. So if you do have a larger hard drive, then it will go a lot farther. There are many variables that that these will pertain to. So if you're recording 24/7, then you also will need to look at, okay, what is the resolution? How many frames per second? What is the bit rate that you're running it on? That will actually let you know how many days of recording. Do note that if you go to our website, ltsecurityinc.com, go under support, and then you'll see tools, there is actually a calculator for that. So you can go in there and select what's the resolution of the camera, what's the bit rate and everything, and you will get a good estimate on how many days of recording for the hard drive space that you have. So that is a good tool to use that, everyone should kind of play around with because it's pretty good. Next question. How far can the camera see? So depending on certain models, they do have different spec ratings. So if you go to our website, look at the spec sheets, you will notice that they are different cameras will have different abilities. From what I've seen, like let's say for the turrets, the new WI ones will do like 131 feet. That's going to be for both IR and for your light. But do note that your white light is a visible light. So while your white light is able to go out to 130 feet, how well it lights the object is going to be a different scenario. So of course, at 130 feet, then yes, you are able to see that there's a person out there, but the details may be lacking due to not enough lighting. So it all depends on the area. Next question. What is required to get the system fully installed? What ongoing support is needed? Not understanding what that means. So are you trying to say from a brand new install using these cameras? Because if you're talking about that, then it's pretty simple. If you have a recorder, then yeah, the first thing you need to do is just activate the recorder, give it a password, put it, get an IP address for it. And so if you are utilizing the built-in PoEs, then once you've set up the password on the recorder, just start plugging those cameras into the back on the built-in PoE. It will automatically set itself up. So there's really nothing as far as complicated configurations that you're needing to do. You can pretty much do everything from the recorder itself on the local monitor. If you are needing help, though, we do have tech support. But if you do, take that route, make sure you do have a computer on site. That way, they are able to remote into your computer and get their eyes on what you're seeing. Because if you don't have a computer and you're calling for tech support, then they're pretty much going off of what you're able to tell them. So there may be some um, issues with kind of explaining things and what the technician is able to defer from what you're explaining. Uh, VMS cloud recordings. So yeah, the Platinum line, it doesn't have the cloud recording. We will be coming out with a system that does have that recording, which is your X Cloud. So yeah, that is coming up. Are any of the IR rate Are any of the IR rate NVRs rated with noise specs? Not every customer has a nice rack room. Okay, yeah, we have had some questions about that. Um, yeah, if you're looking on our spec sheet, it doesn't have a noise, like a decibel reading on those. We have had some people say that, their noise was an issue. But here are a few things. We do have certain recorders, kind of like for our Pro X lines, those will actually have a setting for the fan speed. I believe on that line by default is going to be on, which is full blast. There is a automatic mode on that, which will kind of adjust the speed. Other than that, on the Platinum ones, I don't believe it's got that setting. A lot of people I've known, they've switched out those fans with like some Noctua fans. Those are actually really good. Just find a fan that is the right size and everything bolts right up because they're pretty much standard computer case fans. So swap that out and you should be good to go. You can also put in like maybe a PWM controller for the fan itself and kind of manually adjust it. So that those are options that are available. Next question. How will you know if there is a system tampering or if a camera fails? Well, the camera fails, and you will notice that, yeah, the the image kind of is gone from your live view. But you can always check your system logs. The system logs on the recorder, it will tell you everything that's going on with the recorder itself. So it detects any type of issues with the camera or with the actual recorder or with the hard drive or anything like that. It will actually show up there. There are also a setting or a spot in your recorder called exceptions. Those are pertaining to like hard drives, pertaining to like if a camera drops or whatever, it will send out a notification to your app or to your email. You can go in there, you can set that up. And so if you do have any issues with the system itself, it will actually send you a notification. Did the MVR automatic update on our newer firmware? So if you are on one of the newer firmwares, we did add the availability of updating, so it's able to do like your cloud updates. So yeah, if you are on a newer system, you probably have seen that ability on there where it will do that. If you're on an older firmware or an older system, then yeah, a lot of times those will be manually updated, meaning that you'll download the firmware from our website and then put on a flash drive and plug it into the recorder to update it that way, or just log in using a computer and do the update from there. Okay. Any other questions? What IP protection does the camera have? A lot of the cameras, they are rated for at least IP67 rated. So you can tell from our spec sheet, actually list the IP rating on there. So that IP rating is going to be both for your dust and also your moisture. So if you kind of look on our website or and go to look at the model number for the camera, pull up the spec sheet, they will all list it there. I believe the lowest that we have is like an IP60, 65 or IP66 rating. But on average, from what I've seen, they are going to be IP67. All right. So if we have no more questions, let me hand it off to our product manager, Victor, and then he can give you some more information. Victor, are you
Hi,
available?
hi, hello, hello. Firstly, I want to thank you all for coming. I just want to let everyone know that we prepared some gift for the attendees for today. So there will be a lucky draw since we have your email address already. So someone will reach out to you for the three lucky draw Amazon gift card. And again, as usual, in March, we are going to have a lot of promotion coming on. So the hybrid illumination will be a major part of these no, of the promotion. So please feel comfortable to come in and have a look. Right. So we also have the live demo in all of our branch. So if you walk in, you will be able to physically see the camera. So again, I want to thank you all for coming, and thank you, Louis. So if there's no further question, then I think we can finish today's webinar, and there will be another session later today. So I hope you have a good rest of the day. Thank you.